Real quick, I just want to remind everybody that I have a website. You can get to it by just clicking the link in the description below. We have blogs on there. I have my podcast on there. And so if you can't get enough football footage, we'll have another podcast coming up shortly where we're going to break down all of the free agency moves. So definitely click on there if that's something you're interested in. And anyways, back to your regularly scheduled video. So I never thought I'd say this, but I am loving what the Cleveland Browns have done so far this offseason. And in fact, the Jack Conklin signing might be my favorite signing so far. He's a great run blocking right tackle that can also pass protect very well. It's a huge position of need from Cleveland that they're now filling up. And I just think this makes a ton of sense. I'm very high on Conklin. In fact, when I made my podcast last week where we drafted top 10 NFL free agents in this upcoming free agency, I picked him 6th overall. So, I'm very high on this guy. I think he's a very good player, and I love this fit for Cleveland. I just think it's a great move. Adding him and Hooper, I really like this move, and let's just get into why I like it so much. So, let's take a look at this play, for example. One thing I like about Conklin is this guy's an athlete. He can move. Like, on this play, what he's going to do is he's going to actually move up to block a linebacker right here. And watch how quickly he is going to get up in position to make this block. I mean, so quickly he gets over there and gets his hands in a good hand placement where really he has that left arm right on that shoulder where he can totally just push his assigned man as far as he wants to. Granted, Henry wasn't able to get up to the second level, so it didn't really matter, but I just liked how he was able to get in position so quickly. I thought that kind of just goes to show what this guy can do. He is absolutely an athletic guy. And as I said, he's a great run blocker, and that really factors in the fact that he does have great footwork and he is so quick. That's partially what makes him such a good run blocker. But again, as I said, he is not just a good run blocker. He can also pass protect very well, and he's not afraid to change little things up. What I mean is a play like this, where again it's going to be a one-on-one matchup. He's going up against an edge rusher, as you would typically expect, and after the ball is snapped, watch how low he gets and watch how far his legs are spread apart right here. This isn't what he always does, but just because of the situation where that edge rusher, he tried to go around, but at the last second created a contact. Now Conklin sort of at a moment's notice has to he looks like a frog right here. It's a very unusual position, but at the same time, it works. He's able to use plenty of leverage. He has his legs spread out enough where he can definitely push back, and he's not really too worried right here. He's able to completely stop his assigned man in his tracks. A guard did come over and help out, but he didn't need it. And again, even when he gets surprised like that, he's able to be really effective. So that's another thing I really like about Conklin. I think that having a tackle who you can just put on an island, basically, have him block an edge rusher every play, and you don't even have to worry about it, that just does so much. And, for Baker Mayfield, I think he was running for his life so frequently. And as we all know, Baker Mayfield does love to scramble. So, having a guy like Conklin who can sort of be a rock on one side of the line, especially if Cleveland goes out and they sign another tackle, or probably actually draft a tackle would be the better way to go with a lot of tackles coming up in this upcoming draft. It could be a really good situation for Cleveland, and their offense is becoming scarier and scarier, unlike last season where, I kind of didn't love the moves they made last offseason. I was critical at times. I thought the Odell Beckham trade was a bit overrated. Now I'm loving what they're doing. I think they're doing exactly what you should do in free agency. And I also like this play where what's going to happen is that, again, it's a one-on-one matchup, and right after the ball is snapped, you notice that his assigned man is going to try to run around Conklin right here. He's going to try to use his speed, see if he can get around Conklin that way. But one thing Conklin does a very good job of is that he's going to make sure that he stays with him. So at this point, it's going to be pretty tough to make sure that you can run over and make a play. Because not only did Conklin make sure that he stayed in position, but now all he has to do is push his assigned man once, and he gets him way behind his quarterback, where again, he's just completely taken an edge rusher out of the play, which is his job. So yeah, that's part of what I really like about Conklin, is the fact that he can do stuff like that. Another thing I really like about him is that he absolutely showed up come playoff time. He really did, and a play like this, I thought he played great against Baltimore. What's going to happen on this play is that So his job is, this is going to be a run to the right side of the screen. He's going to run out, and he doesn't exactly have an assigned man, but he's basically just going to look for somebody to block. Basically, the way this works is that the first guy he's going to look to block would be that Baltimore player right there. If that Baltimore player tries to crash in, reads this play very quickly, then he should stay with him, run over and try to make a play, make sure that he blocks him out of the way. However, if that Raven continues to run to the right side of the screen, which he actually is going to end up doing, then what Conklin is supposed to do is look over and block that linebacker, because at that point, he will have plenty of people to his right that can make the block for the first Raven, so he can just block the second guy, and everybody at that second level can be taken care of. However, something very interesting is going to happen after the ball is snapped, where you see, he's looking for somebody to block. The first guy, he shouldn't have to worry about blocking because he moved over to the right. So, sort of as I said, he should look over and try to block the linebacker to his left. But the difference is that the linebacker who was to his left moved very far over in that direction because he sort of fell for the fact that this was going to be a regular handoff. It wasn't. It was actually a jet sweep. So, because of that, now this is actually a pretty good situation in a sense, but the problem is that there's another Baltimore player who read this play very well, and as you see, he's now running over, and he's making a great job of breaking over and trying to make a play. So for Conklin, he kind of is like, okay, I want to now block you, but I wasn't prepared to block you, so I'm not in the best position to do that. Not to mention, that's Marlon Humphrey, who's a defensive back, so ideally, Humphrey can easily outrun or even sidestep Conklin. However, watch how Big 78 right there just going to run over and just give enough of a hit where he also did a great job of pushing him away in a sense where it's not going to be a penalty. He didn't block him in the back. It was a clean play and a very good one. Again, kind of just goes back to he's an athlete. He's a very athletic guy. Offensive linemen sometimes are great athletes, and that is definitely the case with Jack Conklin, which really comes in handy, especially on plays like that. And I have to imagine that with Nick Chubb, how good Chubb was last season behind a not great offensive line, having a great run blocking tackle. I mean, we've seen with, like Trent Brown, for example, when he left New England, they had a lot tougher time running the ball. Having a great run blocking tackle can do a ton. And really, that footwork is really what comes in handy. One last play I'll break down will be this one, where he's going to be going up one-on-one against an interior lineman. And the way this play is going to work for Tennessee is that they're going to give a handoff to Derrick Henry, who's running to the left. So, if Conklin is supposed to block a guy that's already to his left, and this is a run to the left, this is going to be a little bit difficult. And one small thing is that Conklin is going to have his guard who will try to help push his assigned man a little bit further over to the right to help him out a little. But also just watch how quickly Conklin is going to get over to the left. At this point, he is now in a position where he can make this block. I mean, he can put his right arm out like that. And at this point, for that Baltimore Raven, he could potentially go to Conklin's right and try to get around him that way. But, Conklin's not really too worried about that because there's no way he'll get to the left, which is obviously the concern. But what's really interesting is that the Baltimore player is going to try to get around Conklin to his right, but watch how when he does that, Henry is able to get through the gap that was created because of that, and even stiff arms Earl Thomas and picks up a huge gain. So yeah, I mean, honestly, a move like this is super important. I think it's something that Cleveland kind of neglected last year. It looked like they were trying to build a team that would be great on Madden, but not necessarily great in real life. Seems like this year they're putting more of an emphasis on, let's get some good key pieces. I like the Austin Hooper move. I think that makes a lot of sense. $11 million a year was very reasonable in that aspect. I think that this deal at 3 years, $42 million, to me, that's reasonable. And also worth mentioning, I mean, this guy is so young. He's going to be 26 next year. So you're getting a good young right tackle. I mean, it's just a great move. I'm sorry, but I love this move. Great job from Cleveland. And they also got Case Keenum, so good backup. Maybe I'll make a video about that. I don't know. But either way, I think Cleveland has actually made some really smart moves, and I commend them. I think they've done a great job. So, yeah, that's my opinion. I'd like to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think of all these moves Cleveland's been making? And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.